waking up, you guys? Precious here, and I'm back with another video. If you're new to my channel, hi, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining, and I hope you stay for more. And if you're a returning subscriber, hey, what's good? What's poppin'? I'm so glad you decided to stay with me through my inconsistency, and for that, I love you. Today, we are going to be talking about moving out. So the first thing I want to say before I even start giving you guys tips about anything is that moving out is a lot of responsibility. Y'all thought paying your phone bill was a lot of responsibility or walking the dog was a lot. Wait till you move out. Anyways, today I'm going to be giving you guys 5 tips that I have that have both worked for me and that I have started to implement in my everyday life now that are going to help me when I move out and also helped me when I moved out. So let's get into it. First things first, don't rush it. If you don't have to move out, don't move out. There's no reason to rush this stage of your life. If you are between the ages of 16 and 19, don't move out. There's no reason to. Now, I will say everybody's situation is different, so there are some people to where it's like, oh, I really have to move out, and it's not an option for you not to do that. And for those people, I really understand it, and I still think you can get a lot of information from this video, so please keep watching. But either way, everyone's situation is different. If you don't have to move out, if it's not a necessity, don't do it. You are going to miss out on so much stuff by living at home and not having any responsibilities. Enjoy your youth. Enjoy your time not having to pay bills. If anything, start paying your own bills slowly to start preparing you for moving out. Me personally, I pay for my phone bill. I pay for my car insurance with my mom, kind of, sort of, not really. And I pay for my credit card bill. And those 3 things by themselves, well, with the exception of the subscriptions that I have chosen to add on to my plate, those 3 things by themselves are a lot to deal with and a lot to handle. And it was a real eye-opener for me because I was the type that was like, oh, I want to move out. I want to get out of the house. I want to do this. But you should still keep in mind that you're going to have to pay for all these different things and you're going to have a lot more responsibility added onto your plate. If you're doing it because you see other people do it, you probably don't even want to do it. You just want to keep up with the trend. Honestly, if that's the case, if you see other people doing it, you're like, oh my God, I want to move out too. Sit on the idea. Sit on that idea for like 3 to 6 months. If you still feel the same way after everybody has moved out and then moved back in, or if everybody has moved out and are living their best life, if you still feel the same way for you personally, by all means, go ahead and plan it out, do all your stuff, move out. But if you're doing it just because other people are doing it, it's probably not a good idea. And not to mention, you might end up doing a lot more financial harm than you will be doing good by moving out. If you end up moving out and you're not financially ready for it, you don't have a stable job, you don't have the money saved up, you don't have anybody that's gonna help you, somebody's not paying your rent every month. If you don't have any of these things set in place and you just move out on a whim and you say get a loan or you get a credit card and you just use that, you're really gonna mess yourself up financially. So to be honest, if you don't have to do it, don't move out. Just wait. So the next tip that I have for you guys is to plan ahead and plan accordingly. A lot of us, as in the general youth, like to do things on a whim. I am guilty. But moving out is not one of those things that we can just do on a whim. Some people might be fortunate enough to do so, but most of us are not. So you need to plan ahead and plan accordingly. Create a budget, a living budget, to make sure A, you can afford it, and B, so you can prepare yourself for how much you're going to be spending. Living alone is not cheap. Sometimes it might be, a lot of times it's not. It's not cheap. You have to make sure you take into account your estimated rent. I would always round up, so you're saving more than you need to. You need to take into account groceries and how much groceries you need. You need to take into account utilities like light, water, gas, trash, stuff like that. You need to take into account gas. If you're driving, then you're not just driving from home to school anymore, home to work. Now you might be driving to work, to your apartment, home, to help mom with something, running groceries. Like, you have to plan all of these things and put these into your budget so you know how much money you're gonna have to put aside to spend. Also, make sure that you're researching the area that you want to live in. Not only researching it for like general things like, oh, is it a good area? Is it safe? How far is it away from your school? How far is it away from your job? Are you willing to make those commutes? Are you close to family or far away from family? Is that important to you or is it not important to you? These are also things that you should be taking into account, because if you don't and you move, you will not be happy depending on the place you're in or the situation that you're in. And also consider if you will need a roommate to move. If you have a friend or two and all three of y'all are like, oh yeah girl, we finna move out, we ain't dealing with this year, that's fine. Get together, find an apartment that all three of y'all can split the rent on and afford together, and while still living comfortably, and go move out and split the rent. Don't move out on a whim. I take that back. We're still planning, but still, even if you have that one friend and y'all are like, okay, well, the rent is $1,200 a month. Both of us are gonna split it, $600 for you, $600 for me. You can do whatever you want. I can do whatever you want. You buy your groceries, I'll buy my groceries, or put all your money in a pot so that you could separate everything and go in together on everything. Whatever works, but you still need to plan that out as well, because you need to figure out, okay, when are you comfortable moving? Is this area good for you? Are you okay with this, with these living conditions or these rules? This is how I like to live. Is this how you like to live? You still have to talk about these things. It still requires some level of planning, but I will say from planning it out and crunching numbers in terms of sustainability, affordability, and things like that, getting a roommate probably would be a good option, especially if you're younger in that 16 to 19 age range. I'm 20 and I would still get a roommate. I'm 20 and I would still get a roommate if I really wanted to move out right now. But either way, the whole point is you need to plan accordingly and plan ahead for these things. That way, nothing takes you by surprise. All right, so my next tip is kind of going with the plan accordingly or planning ahead, and that is to save at least 2 months worth of expenses so you can have a cushion. Now, when I say expenses, I mean it includes everything. That includes how much I need for rent. That includes how much I need for my light bill, my internet, my gas, my utilities, my trash. What else do you have to pay for when you move out? Maybe someone comes and takes care of your lawn because you can't do it. How much do I have to put aside for that? Gas for your car, just in case something happens. Groceries, at least half of your normal grocery bill, I would also put toward 2 months of your expenses per month. And the reason why this is important is because two main things, in my opinion. There's two main things. First thing is we could have, God forbid, we could have another kind of Rona situation. And we don't ever want to have another situation like that, and praying that we don't. But when the pandemic hit, everybody was really hit, like financially, socially, medically, everything was hit, everybody was hit, everybody was taken by surprise. And that's one of those things that you want to prepare for, because you don't want to be in a situation to where something like that happens and you still have to pay your rent, but you lost your job due to the pandemic and you're not making any money. So that's one of the important reasons that you should have 2 months saved up. Another reason is something I just mentioned, is Lord forbid you lose your job. If you lose your job, right? I personally would always recommend having more than one stream of income, but if you lose your job and that's your only stream of income, it's probably going to take time for you to get another job. It may not, which is amazing for you, and you may not lose out on any money, but it may take time for you to find another job, and that's where this 2 months worth of expenses comes in. You won't dig into your emergency fund for that, which we'll talk about in a second. You'll dig into this fund, and this is literally where you would ration everything out. So it's like, okay, cool. How much do I need for rent? How much do I need? Like, where can I save on these expenses? But God forbid you can't save on anything, you have those expenses saved up, and you at least have a cushion of time to where A, you can find another job and you can fix your situation, you can build up your finances again, or B, you can find somewhere cheaper to live. On top of those, building up this 2+ months worth of expenses is also going to allow you to see if you can actually afford to live where you want to live. Now, you can look at it two ways. The first way is, how easy was it for me to come by this money, for me to save and put aside? Was it a hassle? Was it easy? Was it a little bit of a challenge, but I got it? And also, are you going to be able to do that consistently? So by that, I mean, okay, cool. I was able to get 1 month's worth of expenses in 2 months. That was a challenging 2 months for me. I didn't have that much of a job, only had one stream of income, this, that, and the third. That's cool. Am I gonna be able to get that in a month or less on the regular for when I move out? If the answer is no, you should probably hold off on moving out. If the answer is yes, that you can make it in a month or less, then that would allow you to also see like, okay, maybe I am ready to move out. I can actually make this money in the time that I need it. Cool. But you also have to remember that this 2+ months worth of expenses is not a money pot for you to just dig out of if you want to like go shopping, or you want to go on vacation, or like you want to buy a new car. Like, that's not what this is for. This is specifically for that, the forbidden time in our minds. I call it a forbidden time, but this is for that forbidden time where we're in a situation we cannot pay our rent, we cannot pay for our utilities, I cannot put groceries in my refrigerator this month. Those are the times you would dig into this fund, only those times. Because if you start digging into this fund for small stuff like, oh, need to put gas in my car, let me put that in there. Oh, I want a new pair of shoes, let me pick out of there. And especially if you're not replenishing it, eventually that money is gonna go out really fast. You're not gonna have it anymore. And then you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be stuck. Because God forbid something does happen, you lose your job, you're stuck. So my next tip is something that I mentioned in the tip right before this, which was the 2+ months worth of expenses. And this tip is to have an emergency fund. This is not the same as your 2+ months of expenses. Now, if you have separate sinking funds, which I can honestly make an entire video about sinking funds and the way that I budget and the budgeting method that I use. If you want to see that, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'll be more than happy to share with you. But if you do not have sinking funds set for a separate occasions and separate categories and separate quote-unquote catastrophes, and you just have one broad umbrella for if something happens in general, that's an emergency fund. Now, let me clarify. An emergency fund is not for, oh shit, I don't got gas in my car, let me put some gas in my car from here. Oh, well, I need my hair done because it's my birthday, let me take out of the emergency fund. That's not what this is for. Again, what I'm about to explain to you, the emergency fund that I'm about to explain to you, is completely separate from sinking funds. Sinking funds are specific savings that you have for like very specific events. For example, you could have a sinking fund for car maintenance, you could have a sinking fund for repairs, you could have a sinking fund for household maintenance and repairs, you could have a sinking fund for really anything you want. For your birthday, you could have a sinking fund. For holidays, sinking funds are literally just small separate savings categories that you can pull from more often than an emergency fund. If you have this general emergency fund, again, that's what we're talking about, we don't pull out of that for anything. This broad emergency fund would only be touched if, for example, God forbid you got into an accident, you need to fix your car. You need to pull out of that emergency. You can pull out of that emergency fund. God forbid you have emergency room bills. You have to go to the emergency room. You pull out of that emergency fund. Little Billy threw a baseball through my window and now 3 panes of glass are broken and I don't have any extra money to fix it. That's when you pull out of that emergency fund. The emergency fund is for unexpected life events that you did not plan for and that you cannot afford to cover with your regular income, if that makes sense. So this is literally just a oops jar, kind of like a rainy day fund and stuff like something like that. It's much easier to explain in conjunction with sinking funds because for me personally, I use both in my budgeting method and they go hand in hand for me. But again, that is an entire topic in and of itself. And if you would like for me to make a video on it, I definitely can make a video on sinking funds. But at the end of the day, my point is you need an emergency fund because if something happens and your insurance does not cover it, or you don't have the money to fix something, or you just can't pay for it, you need that fund. You need that pot that you can take out of in a time of need. So the last tip that I have for you guys is something that I actually did, and I'm very thankful that I did it. And this is to start buying things slowly, or you start saving for specific things over time. So this also goes hand in hand with planning ahead, because, you know, ideally in this situation, you will have thought 6 to 12 months in advance that you want to move, maybe 2, maybe 3, you know, depending on the situation. But for me, ideally 6 to 12 months before I move out, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna move out, I'm making these plans, I'm saving this money. So you're going to do one of two things. Both of these things are going to make your life so much easier when it comes to the actual moving in process and settling in process. First thing you can do is start buying things slowly. And by things, I mean like cleaning supplies, dishes, utensils, pots and pans, linens, towels, laundry detergent, things like that. Little things that you may not think about on the fly, or little things that you didn't put on the list that you made, like your shopping list, or small things that your mom's always like, oh, don't forget this, don't forget that. You can start buying those things slowly and then putting them in like, not Tupperware. Tupperware is not what I'm looking for. Putting them in the like plastic bins or in boxes, and when it's time to move out, you might just have your entire house in boxes, or your entire apartment in boxes, and all you gotta do is unpack it. If not, you just go buy a couple things here and there. I did that when I moved out to go live on campus. That's a whole story time in and of itself, because as y'all can see, I'm still here. I don't mind being here. But that is literally an entire story time. So if you want it, let me know, I got you. But yeah, when I moved out to go live on campus, I started buying things for my dorm, I wanna say 3 months in advance, 3 or 4 months in advance. I started buying things in it, like little things. And it would literally just be, I go to the dollar store, oop, I see the name brand fabric softener that I like, I'm gonna grab 2 bottles. Or I go to Walmart, I see, oh, okay, they have these, the 2-pack of paper towels, let me grab that and put it in the basket. Or I saw a big thing of dish soap that was on sale, okay, cool, let me grab that and put it in the basket. And over time, I literally had like a good 80 to 90% of the things that I needed to move out, and the things that I needed in general. And I just had to go to Walmart really fast, or go to Target really fast to pick up a couple things, or to pick up the really big things. It really took a lot of stress off of me, and I was really glad that I had the wherewithal to plan ahead. Not only that, I also watched a lot of YouTube videos, and a lot of people were saying, you know, buy things ahead, buy things small, you know, stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend to start buying things in advance. Now, if that's not the route for you, and you don't want to just buy things and let them sit around in your house, you need to save for these things. You don't need to, but I definitely recommend it. And by that I mean, okay, cool, you need to make separate categories for each area in your apartment. Kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, living room, office if you have an office, like whatever spaces you have, make a separate category for them. If you want to put it in a savings account, if you want to do cash envelopes, if you want to do just one, like a safe, and keep track of it on an Excel sheet, a spreadsheet, do whatever you want. Make these categories, and you need to set a specific amount to save to buy things for that specific category. For example, one of the categories could be the living room. I'm going to set a goal for what? Because if you're furnishing your apartment, then you have to buy a couch, you have to buy a TV, you have to buy curtains to go on the windows, maybe you have to buy an area rug, maybe you want to buy wall art, all these good things. I would set aside maybe a good, like, I don't know, all that stuff sounds expensive. If we're buying all of this stuff brand new, if you're not thrifty, or you just want to oversave for a living room, I would probably put aside $5,000 to $6,000. Because you gotta buy a couch, you gotta buy a TV, you gotta buy a TV stand, you gotta buy curtains, you gotta buy an area rug, stuff like that. If I'm not buying some of that stuff or ordering it or putting it on layaway in advance, I need to put that money away for it so I can afford it later. That's if, Of course, that's if you're not in one of those situations where you could just go buy that stuff just like that, which I would love to be in that situation, to be honest, but it's fine. But yeah, you need to be putting money away for that. That is going to do two things. One, it's going to take the stress off your shoulders later, because then when you move out and you're ready to go buy these things, you can literally just get up and go. You don't have to wait to buy my couch. I have to wait 2 months until I have to wait 2 months and save up all these paychecks so I can buy my couch. Or the second thing that it can do, besides lifting the weight off your shoulder, is to lift the weight off of your parents' shoulders or whoever else is helping you or your guardian. Because me personally, my mom, I bought 99% of the things for my dorm. My mom only bought me, I want to say like about a maximum of like 6 items, and they were relatively smaller items. I was proud of myself for that, because every time she asked me, well, do you have money to pay for this? Did you get this? Did you get that? Did you get this? I had already done it. I either bought it already, which goes along with buying things in advance, or I had the money saved for it to blah, blah, blah. Or I had to save our, oh my gosh, or I already had the money saved for it so I could buy it when I needed it. So yeah, it's a really good situation to be in. Again, if you don't have the means to buy these things in advance or to save the money in advance, again, everybody's in a different situation, and I understand that completely. But that would be one of those situations where I'll be like, maybe you should hold off on moving for a little bit, at least until you have the peace of mind knowing that when the time comes for you to move out, you can just go ahead and grab all of those things when you're ready. Of course, I low-key am all down for just getting my apartment, having an air mattress, and just figuring it out. If that's the situation you're in, ball out, baby. You got it. I believe in you. I believe in you. Anyways, that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to like it and leave a comment down below letting me know if you want any of the video ideas that I suggest in the video, the sinking funds. There was something else, but I can't remember what it was. Especially the sinking funds. I'll definitely make a video on it if you want. I'll probably make it before you even request it, but it's cool. But yeah, leave a comment down below letting me know what you liked, whatever you want to see. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can see more content from me and more videos that I create. Whoa, that was backwards. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you see more videos from me and more content that I create. And make sure you hit that like button. Sorry. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you can stay in the loop and never miss a thing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.